Hello. We are back with a Stars and Wishes. This is seconds after I stopped the last recording because I could tell Andrea was starting to get into comments, and I was like, all right, let's not go too fast.
All right. Well, Ty, I know you told me that you took a walk recently, or took a hike in the mountains. So I'm so excited to get to all the little touches, like the basket of acorns washing out bitterness. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, that's apparently an actual thing that people will do when they're making acorn bread. Is they will and other stuff, I'm sure. When you're making acorn flour, you will have to wash out the tannins, and that involves leaving them in just a cool stream to get washed away for, I think, like 3 days.
Oh,
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, acorns are interesting. I love like passive stuff like that. Active passive, like you leave it to dry, or leave it in the sun, or leave the birds to deal with it, and then it gets better. Christ, was that? Let me check with you. Are things moving? Am I moving fast enough, or do you want me to like pick up the pace a bit?
I would say, okay, so plot stuff, like where I wanted to get us to. I wanted to get us to you being on the edge of going to the searcher's property. So we have arrived at where we needed to get, right? I think that we spent more time talking about like, just having like the one-on-one character conversation than I anticipated. Yeah. And I was like, that's why I'm probably cut around this in the actual episode. But at one point I stopped us and was like, hey, can we have this conversation while you guys are walking? Yeah. And the reason was because I was like, this is good conversation, and it's stuff that I am prepared for and that I thought about, and I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to say. However, I don't want us to get to the end of 3 episodes from now and we haven't. Nothing's happened.
Yeah, Brett's dead. Everything's bad.
And I'm trying to. Part of it is I'm remembering very, very freshly that prior to your character running into this other interesting person, you were very much like, oh shit, I've got to go help my friend. I'm very worried about my friend. I need to go do that. And so I didn't want you to end up losing sight of that.
Yeah.
Because I think this is on, I had a worry that I wouldn't have enough to make this place feel real and rich and deep. And that led to, among other things, me putting in this character that was adding a lot of complexity to the quest. And I think, there's some reasons that they're there that I can't really go into without spoiling things. But there's some reasons that I thought they would be a good addition to this quest beyond just I'm making things more full and rich and busy. But that also does end up slowing things down,
because it's interesting, and your attention catches on the interesting stuff. And
you're like, oh, I forgot about the plot hook from the last thing. I mean, you didn't forget about it. You were moving. Don't get me wrong. I just think, and I think that these conversations are exactly the sorts of things that your character would have had in the real world. But I'm also having to thinking about this as a show. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That's also it's a good reminder to me too, to think about tone. Cause I'm smiling, I'm cheery, I'm so excited about what's happening. And also oh, right. I really need to make it clear that this guy is actually not having a great time and is actually really worried and really mad at himself and not definitely just chat. He will talk to a wall if he needs to and has, but talking to this skeleton, but also this is not normal. None of this is normal. I think sending Baba off is him being yeah, I'm fucked. We're gonna try to get as many survivors out of this as possible, but I'm probably fucked here. So all right, let's figure this out.
Yeah. I added you can't see this, but I have one other major complication that I had put in here, which I didn't even get around to seeding, because I had that in there because I was like, oh man, I wonder if this conversation with the Skelly, like, I'd like it to take a while, right? But I'm worried that this conversation will be done in 5 minutes. So I'll need something to happen to like fill out the episode. And it's like, no, opposite.
Yeah,
I have to like, I'm pushing it.
Sorry, I do the same thing with all of my stuff too, and be like, well, we have to have like a puzzle and like also this, and then like you don't even get past the first fucking introduction. But it's fascinating to me, if that helps. I don't know if it's fascinating to your listeners of like what's going on.
But it's also like it's I don't know. I think that this whole project of like making an actual play is so, I think, helpful for me as a GM, because I see all of the things that I plan for, and then I can go back and listen and actually see like, all right, what worked and what didn't work,
Yeah. And
I do think, you made the point of like, well, this thing is interesting, so I'm wanting to engage with this thing. That is such a strange problem to run into, is you when you're making these games, your goal so often is, or your worry is that like, oh, is the player like not going to find this interesting? Is this just going to like roll off them, and nothing happens? You can kind of forget about the opposite problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of push and pull, right? Because you have to surrender control for a lot of it, of like what they're going to find interesting is what they're going to find interesting. And that's the engagement. So that's the game, right? Like, and you have created like an incredibly rich and deep world. And I love the visual of like a tiny, ugly lizard walking around next to like, Mr. Invisible Man, like mummy wrapped skeleton. Yeah. Like what a weird odd couple walking through a burnt church, and like, half on like the prize of where the hell is Brown and what the fuck is Justice up to and why are we doing this, and the other half on like, oh, you got disciplined and then you died, that sucks. It's like you died at work. Like that kind of.
I think you had I saw you ask in a Discord we're both in about like what are weird dad attributes, and I do kind of feel like that is a weird dad attribute, or like a weird parent attribute, right? Of being like, oh, I have this really important thing to do. Oh, here's this young person, presumably, who is suffering, and suddenly that's my whole day. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like it's not even like a conscious thought. I think there's like some lizard brain, section of him that is like already planning like the guest room for
wow, I love that.
I'm gonna get murdered by this guy. That. But like I'd just be like, well, if there's an arcanist, so like book learning, I feel like there's gotta be some room for, them at the farm in some way. But like, Gray's open-minded fellow, maybe we can figure that out. It, like, already the like, like the kind of neighbor who's already making connections of like, okay, I can pick up your kids after the thing. So-and-so can cover dinner. Like whenever there's a problem, like everyone's used to kind of covering for each other. And I love that. But like, I'm so sorry, Ty. This is like a professional like problem with me. Just like, I just want to talk to NPCs. Like, I feel like so many times like my jams are like, I found myself inventing NPCs to have conversations with that I didn't think I would need to. It's like, well, but we went into a town. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I want to talk to people.
Oh, I love that.
I can't talk to people in real life, so like it's safe to do it in a game. But also it like brings the world like alive. Like, oh my god, this poor baby. I mean, again, lethal, creepy baby, but
Yeah. And I will say, I said, oh, this is a different problem or whatever. Like, it's not a problem, right? It just means like the problem here is a problem of my own expectations, because, right, this episode, I think when it is all said and done, will be a good episode. So there's nothing that actually was wrong here. It's just a different episode than I expected.
Yeah.
And furthermore, if I had, if we were recording for a longer period of time, or if we were playing a home game where like we could end more or whatever, then I could have like, I would have been much more like, hey, you're engaging with this character, let's just fucking go.
Yeah.
It is because of the fact, again, that I'm making like a show thing, and I have to like think about those times, that makes it a little more Trixie.
Oh, I mean 100%. Like, you know this, Fiona knows it, like Mason knows it. Everyone who's like done podcasting like knows this shit. I do not have that knee jerk like podcasting performance like editing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, you mentioned before we started recording that you had edited a podcast before.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that or no? I'm curious what that is. If you don't want to, that's totally fine.
I don't know if it's still out there, but back in the old days, back in like 2013.
Oh, wow.
Oh, don't say, oh, wow, like that. Podcasting was just invented.
No, podcasting was around what, like 2007, 2006?
Probably earlier, honestly. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
In 2013, my spouse and a friend of his. So I like, my background is indie comics. That was also my spouse's. And so like this friend wanted to do a podcast with like the interesting title of Comics for Grown-ups. God. And so we did reviews.
Very much of the era.
Very much of the era. I mean, it was actually like fascinating. That's a whole different discussion about the like rehabilitation of comics, like around that time, like starting in 2000 and like watching that take off. And like,
that's what I was going to say. Like that title now feels very like, like this must be like ironic. But at the time, I feel like Comics for Grown-ups could be an actual like, oh yeah, we are treating comics seriously. Which needed to be said before, and I feel like now you don't need to say that as much. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's true. I mean, like within the indie comics world, everybody already knew that like comics were everyone already knew that, but the wider world like was just getting introduced to like Chris Ware and all these other folks, and it was new and it was exciting, and it hadn't really permeated. Like the graphic novel boom in children's books had not happened yet. It had just like Fun Home had come out, like they're just about to explode, but it hadn't really happened. And as a illustration of this, like when I graduated college in 2007, to get even older, I was working at a literary agency for children's books, and I was reading through like Publishers Weekly or one of those like trade magazines, and I came across an ad that had in huge bright white letters on a red background, safe graphic novels. It was like, it was selling quote unquote safe graphic novels. And it was actually like really terrible looking adaptations of like classic literature, like Dracula or Frankenstein. So like shit. And also like the fact that they were doing it was clearly like very much left over from that like Wortham 50s, whatever. But it was a full page ad. Yeah.
McCarthyism? No.
Well, kind of. Yeah, it was definitely on the coattails of it, but it was more like the Wortham thing where they blamed it for juvenile delinquency.
Yes, sorry.
Same. Fascinating thing too, but like they had book burnings and all that shit, but like 2007, man, like safe.
Wild.
So we did reviews of indie comics, and it was actually really lovely because we got, like you do an indie comic, no one knows about it. Like it means a lot when someone reviews it. So we got to like know a bunch of really cool people and like do interviews and like, I don't know, share. It was like positive reviews, right? Like stuff that we really liked. But God, editing took forever. I mean, it wasn't even good. Like you do sound effects, like you actually like know how to do
takes
audio.
A long
and stuff.
time.
We were just trying to like cut out all the filler, but yeah. Sorry. So yeah,
it does take a long time. It takes a long time to do things, and like cutting out all the filler and like being cognizant of that is so like a lot of people really do. A lot of people in podcasts really do the bare minimum of like not editing for content, not like paying attention to, cutting like little asides and stuff that don't need to be on the actual episode. A lot of real low effort stuff.
Just like letting the microphone run. Like we talked about this. Like there's a school of just let it all happen versus like highly edited, like Mission to Zix performance. Yeah.
And you're right. Like it's a total like continuum, a spectrum,
right.
Where some people, oh boy, it's going to open a door that I don't, that we don't have time for.
Yeah. That's not what you do. And it's not what this is. So that's what makes it special.
Yeah. This is definitely going to be, much less edited. Hey guys, this is the little post show chat where I I say I barely edit, which means I still edit a little bit.
You edit a ton, and I'm so sorry. I've seen like your stuff on the chat about how fucking long our session 0 was, and it's like, oh no, I did that. I think
it's super fun. I enjoyed it.
I enjoy talking to you too, but like this is not
the problem being that we enjoy having conversations.
Yeah.
So like it's not the worst problem that I could have.
No.
But anyway, with that, 15 minutes into this post-show chat, let's do a quick round of stars and wishes. Bow. Star. Let me think. I will give one unless you think of one before me. Or wish.
I liked the seeding that you did of something being wrong with justice, like the way that you like fed all of that information in. And thank God that you had like an NPC who could help tell me that too, because it's so much more interesting than just finding clues, especially if my rolls are ass, which is like what we've discovered. Like if I'm not finding information, like how do I move forward? But that built up suspense helpful in like an interesting way.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, there were some bits of information that I ended up giving to you. Like when you say like you're going into a scene, I think that holding back information is a really dangerous thing that a GM can do, unless not giving the information could result in interesting decisions, right? And so there's certain bits of information that I was like, if you don't find out that this person has a bunch of blue bottles in the back of their carriage, that's not going to do anything interesting for you. Like it won't set up any interesting scenarios, because I know what's coming. That doesn't not knowing that doesn't mean anything interesting. So I had to give you like finding something. At the same time, there was extra information that would have felt like a lot for you to have just stumbled upon, right? That would have been useful for you to learn,
right?
Looking around this carriage. So the fact that that I had something that would have been interesting if you rolled well or you rolled poorly made that worthwhile. But as you continued to poke around those things and your character returned to those spots and asked people questions, if it made sense for me to just give you something, I would just give it to you, right?
Yeah, I like that. Like it's and in case you're wondering, I'm still fucked. Like I'm still walking into a situation clearly outclassed. And the fact that I got really stuck on like clarifying what the hell Brunt was doing with this was just because it was completely recasting in my head like what the relationship was and like what how to go into this. This is nice because now I get to go around thinking about like why the fuck would they have gone to the searchers and like and you gave a new poem, like god damn it, Ty. Like I've been like highlighting and making notes. This is wild. I really love the poem. I really love the detail. I liked that you made all of this. I liked that this poor Skelly did a lot of like physical acting. That was nice. The crack about Justice talking a lot was funny. I
like that. So a star for me in this whole thing was like this is kind of related to the last session, but you mentioned to me before we played today that the poem had been like kind of burnt. The poem from last episode had been burned into your head, and I had already prepared this poem. And I was excited to share that. And so then when I heard like, oh, this has been cut in your brain, I was like, good. I made the right choice in this. So I appreciated being able to throw that at you, have that prepared. Let's see. A wish for myself on this is I wish I want to next time have a better sense of what is important for, how do I say this? The first time we played, I remember I had a very specific timeline in my head of like who arrived at the Pine and Brine when, why, what they were trying to do at that specific moment, when different people left. And in my mind, this time we were playing, I was just like, oh, well, that's already been established. And then when you started asking, so it had just fled from my brain, no longer was holding on to it. Yeah. And so you started asking questions of Jacob about those things, about the timeline of events and like who they met when they saw different things. I was like, shit, I don't remember what happened when, and I don't remember if it would like change things or contradict. So my wish for myself is to like take notes in the future for myself. I want to take notes. Like if a timeline is important, write down the freaking timeline. Don't just rely on my memory, because we recorded that a month ago. So
oh God, yeah, that was a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it also reflects, in character Jacob's, scattered mindset of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really paints a picture, right? Like, hey, come with me. I'm gonna shut you in an ice house so you can like repair yourself. It's not very nice. Like,
yeah, I will say I think that like they snuck out to the ice house to like do this thing in hiding. It wasn't that Justice sent them out there.
Okay,
they went out there to do it out of away from prying eyes.
All right. So as far as I'm understanding, Justice and Jacob arrived at this place. And then Jacob just like snuck out to the ice house, and then Justice and Brunt left. Like that's as far as I know.
I believe, yes, I think if I remember correctly, which we've established, that's a tenuous guess. Mm-hmm. My understanding is Jacob is somewhere on Justice's path. They run into each other. There's a little bit of a confrontation. Then Jacob says, like, I'm looking for this thing. I'll like pay you for passage, show me where to go. I don't think she said that to you, but yeah, she paid for passage with Justice.
Jesus Christ, Justice.
And then Justice led them to a spot where they said that they could find another one of those crystals things, one that wasn't broken. That was the Pine and Brine. Justice goes into the Pine and Brine, has a conversation with Brunt of some sort. Jacob goes hides off away out of view. Mm-hmm. Justice leaves. Either Brunt follows them or they leave together to the Searcher property. At that point, Jacob goes back into the Pine and Brine, scrabbles around in Brunt's little private room, finds the thing that was missing, goes off into the ice house to set up this ritual. That takes like all day.
Right.
They eventually get it fix their arm. They would have had to like set out like they would have been carrying all of the bones from their hand.
Jesus Christ.
Right. In like a bag or something. And they would have set them down for the ritual, connected these two halves of this crystal that they've like installed in themselves, and reactivated their hand. So now they can use their hand safely.
I love that. Okay,
as if it's
a star. I really love that mechanic. It's a really interesting, like arcane anatomical thing.
Yeah,
that was fun. I have a wish that I again, like I'm having such a good time that I'm really like, it's so easy to lose track of like where I want this character to be and like where I think his mind is at, because being like, I'm so worried, like does not communicate like how actual word. Yeah, like actual acting. So like, I looked at my marks, newly reckless, haunted by regrets. Like this is a guy who's like probably getting ready for retirement, like has like fucked up in his life. And suddenly like you see a dead, like a skeleton. It's like, oh God, the ghost of the person I killed has come back, or like my time is up. Like, fuck, I'm not ready for it. Like, that's terrifying.
So, yeah, that is pretty terrifying. It sounds like you want to like remember like the terror that your character is dealing with right now, the fear that they have for their friend. And I said before I was having trouble like, keeping things moving. So how about I'm going to make a promise to you that when we open the next session, I am going to present a scene that will set things in motion so that like chatting will not feel possible. Right. Like I'm going to continuing on with the acorn thing, the acorn basket. I'm going to elaborate on that in a way that will tell Rumor, my friend is in, like, I don't know what's happening, but whatever is happening is scary and dangerous, and action needs to be taken immediately. I'm very close to the property. I need to act. There's no more time for planning, although obviously this is a Blades in the Dark game, so you will be able to potentially flash back if you need to have planned something. Which actually, hey, that long time where you're chatting in the at the Pine and Brine, could have been preparing something. So that's a perfect time to flash back to.
Yeah. I was thinking, yeah, I have the ability to grab shit from Brunt's adventuring days too as we go out.
Yeah. Next time we play, I need to ask you to pivot that microphone to the other side of your desk, because you naturally always face this way when you're talking.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Gotcha.
Rather than keep having to like ask you to turn back, it's like, I'll just have you put the mic in the better
place.
spot for you.
Okay, thank you. I will do that.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, wow. Interesting. We have a guy who can't fight, who's not used to being sneaky, who is not impressive or intimidating at all, who actually like hates violence and like doesn't like hurting things. And we've entered The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Like, we have entered the full horror movie. Like, oh God, Ty. It's gonna be wild. He's kind of given up on himself in like a big way. So that's also interesting. I'm kind of curious what that looks like for somebody like this.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm very curious about that. I don't want you to answer this right here, because I think this is something that I would, if it gets explored, I would like it to be explored in the actual show itself. But I'm curious, like, he still has a husband and, 3 grown-up children. I'm curious what is driving him to do this action, right? If he really thinks that he is in that much immediate danger, why is he continuing on?
That's a good question. Yeah.
And I don't want you to answer that now, because
a
lot of people probably won't listen to this.
Hey, and for those that do, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
One person.
But yeah.
Oh my God, Ty, my head is also looking at that stress bar, and that like.
Oh, how's your stress?
I am 4 in.
Oof.
Because like it's not the economy of this is what I was thinking about too. Because like it's not. I want to raise the gumption as fast as I can, so I can like have options here.
Yes.
But like, it's not going to be hard to get into desperate situations. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
The shit is hitting the fan early, but it also limits what I can do. So I'm trying to like. I don't want to think about spending it, but like worry about spending it. But I am worried about spending it. You know what I mean? This is basically why like I had so many terrible rolls, and I just was not pushing it, and just be like, I want to save my powder for the actual interesting shit, and like just take the L and go. Yeah. And maybe it's just like you don't get as much information, and that's fine. Like I'll make bad decisions, and then that'll be interesting in some way.
Yeah, because everything you were doing at this, other than your interaction with Jacob, like when they might have gotten potentially violent with you, everything else, every other interaction you were having was like safe, right? You had not gotten into the mission part, into the danger adventure part.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are running kind of long on this short 15-minute post chat.
Yeah, surprise. Sorry, Ty.
So, surprise. Hey, no, it's been great. Is there any final thing you want to say before we wrap things up?
Remind me to ask you about your feelings about violence in stories sometimes, like just curious.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I would be happy to share that. And until then, I'll see you later, and listeners, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you to the Joy Drops for the use of Not Drunk as our intro and outro music. Thanks to all of our guests, and thanks to you for listening. You can find us and say hi over at sidecharacterquest.com or by checking out our show notes for more links and information. If you're enjoying the show, drop a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you around. Bye!
Hi, I'm Mark, the host of the System Hoppers podcast. Here on the show, we can never decide what we want to play, so instead we're constantly mixing it up. Do you like fantasy TTRPGs? We've had a group of JRPG-esque heroes taking a stand against evil forces. Maybe you're into horror, want to find out what happens to a group of kids on Halloween night that are dared to spend the night in the creepy haunted house on the edge of town. Or maybe you just want to hear a group of friends roleplay playing professional wrestlers and fighting for the gold. Whatever we've decided to play, you know you're in for a good time, so come check us out. That's System Hoppers, available anywhere you get your podcasts.